One of my favorite bands has returned, Hellripper, with their brand new album, Coronach. Let the bad mispronunciations begin. Welcome, metal enthusiasts, to a brand new episode of The Metal Dude Abides. Tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the fourth studio album from one of my favorite bands, Hellripper, entitled Coronach. Now, if you've been with the channel for a while, you know my love of Hellripper. And as I talk about Hellripper, let's talk about who Hellripper is. This is a one-man Scottish metal juggernaut by the name of James McBain. Anyway, Hellripper put out a fantastic album back in 2023. Warlocks, Grim, and Weathered Hags. It might be the best album of 2023. And off that album was one of the best songs of 2023, I, the Deceiver. But it has been 3 long years since we've last heard from Hellripper. So I have been eagerly awaiting their return. The question is, was it worth the wait? Let's go through this album track by track and see. This album gets off to a roaring start with the song Wunderpressed. See what I mean by bad pronunciations? I'm sure I'm 0 for 1 after that one. We are going to focus a lot on this album about James's amazing guitar playing. But let's not overlook the fact that he also plays drums, and this song starts off with some really great drums as well. The song is an okay song, pretty fast song, good speed metal song for about the first 2.5 minutes. But this is where the growth of this band kicks in, as the synthesizers kick in, death growls are engaged, but then the guitars go into a whole new stratosphere. The first few minutes of this song, you would never imagine that it could get faster, but it does. Now, after that, we get a little bit more sense, and we get a little bit of some spooky spoken word from James McBain here, before we get into that final drum guitar salvo. This is an excellent album opener. Buckle up, we are going to be in for a wild ride. Now, there is one thing here that might seem a little nitpicky, and maybe just to me, but it seems like the production is a little bit lesser than it was for their previous album, which is kind of amazing, being that this is, they just recently got signed to a new label, really expecting a step up in production. I think I like the production of their last album a little bit better, but overall, that's a nitpick. This is an excellent way to start the album. Mispronunciation number 2 incoming, because the second track on this album is called Kinchiel. This may be the best song on the entire album. And if you don't listen to me on this, I think the band agrees with this as well, as this was the song that they released back in 2025 to promote this upcoming album. Once again, just an unbelievable fast but catchy song. And I think that's where James McBain's genius lies. This is a band that likes to go really fast, but never loses the melody, never loses the catchiness. This thing has such a catchy chorus to it. And once again, at about the 2.5 minute mark, it takes a little bit of a change of pace. It kind of goes into this brief acoustical interlude, slows down a bit, just so we can ramp up to accelerate to a amazingly fast finish. I love this song. If you don't know if you're going to listen to the entire album and you just want one song to review to see if you'll like this, maybe you start right here with Kinchiel. The third song is called The Art of Resurrection. I think I handled that one okay. And it starts off with a beautiful piano interlude. The surprises continue. Now, this song, don't let that little interlude kid you. This song is still very intense, but I will say in this song, it seems like they let the throttle off just a bit. And when I say just a bit, this is still a very fast and intense song. I think I like the way the drums and the guitars play off each other on this song better than any track on the album. And I'm amazed when you understand that this is a one-man band. How good do you have to be on several instruments to pull off songs this beautiful, this intricate, and this intense? This guy, we talked about what a genius composer he is, making things fast and hooky, but we also, can't skip past the fact this dude is playing all of these instruments, and he's playing them quite well. I'm going to cheat a little bit on this one because it gives me the Scottish title for this song, but then it translates it in parentheses. So I'm just going to use the translation version. The fourth track on this album is called Waltz of the Damned. Now, one of the things about this album is the words that I can't pronounce. It's because they go back into Scottish folklore. And probably a lot of those pronunciations would even be harder for a modern Scotsman to come up with, let alone this poor American. But I digress. This song goes hard for about 6 minutes, one of the longer tracks on the entire album. But then it kind of stops for a second, regathers itself, and has a beautiful conclusion and an outro. Now, we have a tradition on this channel that we talk about our favorite tracks and our least favorite tracks. And I guess you could say of all the songs on this album, because every one of them is excellent, I guess this would be my least favorite. But if you know what's coming next, this is kind of an okay song because it's the calm before, wink wink, the storm. I have no idea about what censorship rules exist on YouTube. So I'm just going to, once again, avoid controversy and just say this song we'll just call it the F Storm. This is the shortest track on the album, the only song that's under 4 minutes, but it is about 3 minutes and 58 cents of unbridled fury. Really like this song. And it is a bit of a change of pace. Remember, I told you the last song, old James kind of lets up the gas just a little bit. It's because he's going to come right back over the top with this bad boy. Now, usually albums start off great and then they kind of peter off as it goes. But this is going to be one of those rare albums where this is actually where my favorite part of the album starts. It starts off here with this big fast one, and it's going to go all the way to the end with some of my favorite tracks. So let's talk about the ending of this album. The last 3 songs on this album are all so very good. The next song on here is called Sculptor's Cave. We've talked about James on guitar. We've talked about James on drum. Now James gives us a little bit of lesson on great bass playing. Love the bass in this. And the bass is important because in this song in particular, where we've been looking at a lot of speed metal up to this point, here we're going to really get into more of maybe a traditional heavy metal gallop. Very fast, but a gallop nonetheless. And I do love that change of pace. One of the things that he does that's brilliant is while that gallop is going on, he's also playing lead guitar and he's just shredding over the top of that gallop. Really like the layers of the music on this. This is done excellently. And once again, throughout the song, there's a lot of tempo changes, and it leads to also, we talked about all the riffs, we talked about the shredding, but this is one of the best guitar solos on the entire album. And then, weirdly enough, it just has an abrupt ending that's going to lead into the very next song. I talked about the previous song just ending very abruptly, but I think it's done for purpose and effect, because this next song, brace yourselves for this mispronunciation, Mortarshine, starts off really light, but ominously builds towards yet another ferocious song. At this point, maybe I'm just acclimating to the pace and the franticness of this album, but I'm starting to pick up on some of the intricacies of the music. I think the first couple of times you hear this, it just blows your hair back. But now I've listened to this thing about 3 times, and now I'm starting to pick up little bitty things that they're doing differently. And I think this is one of the most interesting compositions on the whole album. And one of the things that kind of caught me off guard is, along with some great riffs on here, you get cowbell. I can't believe it. We're already on the last track of the album, and it's a good one. This is how I want my albums to close. I've been kind of goofing on a lot of these bands lately because I've reviewed a lot of albums that end on kind of a somber, slow, ballad type song. James McBain, I salute you. Not this guy. He's going to go out on a real banger. One of the heaviest, most epic songs on the album. I was convinced that Kinsheel was going to be my favorite song on the album. They released it as a single of, several months back. Loved it to death. But Coronach has got to be my favorite song on the entire album. And here's why. Ballad? We're going to start with a death march. A somber, funeral-like beginning to this song. And we're going to get, I can't believe it, clean vocals. This song has a real epic feel. And along with that, it's time for the metal guy to confess something. I love Hellripper. But if I'm being 100% with everybody, I'm not that fond of the vocals. I'm still old school. You get up in those high registers and get a little bit of shrieking, those blackened vocals, if you will. I'm not really a huge fan of this. Now, I look past vocals. I do it with Megadeth, for instance. Great band. Don't really like Dave Mustaine's vocals. You don't have to be a great vocalist. When you can play guitar and drums and bass and everything else he plays, you don't have to be a fantastic vocalist. But here, he does some clean vocals and he does some death growls. And lo and behold, James McBain, you're an incredible singer. I love your growls. I love your cleans. This could be... Now, a lot of speed metal fans are going to throw tomatoes at me. But more of this, please. I love these vocals on this. And the solo that goes in about 5 minutes into the song, chef's kiss, perfection. The best guitar solo on the entire album. This song is the longest track on the entire album, lasting a little around 8 minutes, but it seems like the shortest. This song just does so much. It's so incredible. What a way for the album to close. Let's do a recap real fast. If you watch my channel, for the most part, I only do reviews of albums I like, and this one I absolutely love. I am so glad Hellripper's back, and I'm here to declare Coronach one of the best albums of the year. There is no weak tracks across this entire thing. Picking my least favorite track was a very difficult thing to do on this one because all these songs are unique and wonderful. Once again, if you like your speed metal fast and furious and heavy and intense, this is for you. But what separates Mr. McBain from the rest is while he is fast and furious and heavy and intense, he is also very melodic and catchy. My favorite tracks on here, we just got through talking about Coronach. What an epic closer. I think that's the best closer of the year so far. But Kinsheel was my favorite for a long time. Still very good. But once again, all the tracks are great. I would say once again that the second half of this album is even stronger than the first half. And the one nitpicky thing that I'll continue to say is the production, it could ramp up just a little bit. I liked the production on Warlock Scrim and Withered Hags a bit better, but really no complaints. A lot of that's probably the fact that my ears are 3 years older than what they were the last album that came out. But after 3 or 4 listens, I think it would be impossible to dislodge Warlocks as being my favorite all-time album of theirs. But over time, I think this one has a chance. Who knows? This could end up being my favorite track. And once again, let me just say, Mr. James McBain, you have an incredible vocal range. Diversify a little bit more. More death growls. Love it when you go low. And more clean vocals, please. Loved all of that to death. Once again, tremendously talented musician. And now, who knew, also an equally talented vocalist. If you have never given Hellripper a try, you need to remedy this. This album right here, Coronach, is great. Go back to 2023's Warlock's Grim album. Two of the best back-to-back albums you're going to see in a while. This thing absolutely cooks. You need to go and listen to it. And that's our episode. We're also going to be doing another album review this week, as one of my other favorite guitarists is back. Zakk Wylde and Black Label Society also put an album this week. I have been very busy listening to a lot of really great music, so come back for the channel, subscribe so you can hear my other reviews. We're also doing a series where we're going year by year, talking about the best heavy metal music, all the way from the 60s all the way to current day. So the best way to catch all this, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, give this a thumbs up, and go listen to some Hellripper. In the meantime, this is the Metal Dude signing off. Take care.